Angela. Stephanie Marie, you're just there. Steph, can you make sure this is people with the ability to share this, please? Hi. Oh, Paul, I hope everything went well. Hi, Leslie. Okay, there's a few folk coming online now, just after 7:30. I wonder if you could all do something for me and try sharing this for me, please. Hi, Steffi. I was on another medium's Q&A the other day, and people were sharing it as it went out. So, hi guys. Hi there. Well, we've already got a few questions in, and there's 23 people online. We'll give it another 30 seconds or so. Rosemary, how are you? We'll give it another... Okay, Joyce Jackson Montgomery's question is very important that people know that. So if we could get to that one.
Got it here. Do you want to answer it just now?
Yeah, just ask it just now.
So she's asked, where are the spiritualist churches in Glasgow, and are they all connected, or are they different church groups?
A lot of the churches in Glasgow, Joyce, are independents. I am a great champion of the Shakespeare Street Spiritualist Church, because it's a small church. It's done for all the right reasons. And in the times when I was serving it, it put out something like £130,000 back out to charity. So people would come in, they would pay their money at the door, the medium would get their expenses and £10 for their service, and then all the money that was made by the church was amalgamated into one big fund, and the money would go out. There are SNU churches in Glasgow. There's one in Berkeley Street, which is a very, very good church. There's also one on the street just behind Berkeley Street, a larger one, and they actually run full events when there's no COVID. They run full events going from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right through to Divine Service and Sunday night, which I used to take quite regularly. There's also a church, oh, it's terrible, I forget the name of it. Used to, it's in the park, Pollokshaws Park, the building at the Pollokshaws Park, across from the big nightclub. There also used to be one in there, but there's lots of spirit churches in Glasgow, and it's just a case of googling them and looking at them. But for me, it's always Shakespeare Street. It's a great wee church, and I love it to bits.
So a question from what you posted today. Helen McPherson asked, my friend wants to know, she keeps tripping as if someone is pushing her. Is this possible?
Tripping or being pushed, certainly nothing I've ever experienced from spirit. She's maybe just a clumsy bugger, like my sister Alison. But no, bear in mind, spirit round about you is generally your loved ones, so they wouldn't really want you to trip or fall over. So my answer to that would be no. You're constantly surrounded in protection from the higher side, so I don't see them trying to trip you up. Or
another question from the post today. Tracy Borthwick asked, I've often wondered if spirit regain their younger life after passing at an older age. I had a vivid dream that only lasted seconds where my aunt said something to me, but she looked the way she did in her early 40s.
Again, I can only answer that through experience. It came back through one of Britain's most gifted mediums, Gordon Smith, to my mum, that my father attended his own funeral. He stood next to the family, between the family and the coffin, and he likened himself to being in his 30s. He was dressed in full dress uniform and likened himself to being in his 30s. And so my answer to that would be yes. I don't believe we keep the same form when we go to the higher side, but they feel as if they are a lot younger, and it makes it easier for us to recognise them.
I hope you understand this question from Shaz Ann.
Carry on.
Hi Gordon, I watched back some of your previous lives after my reading. I seen you make reference to still game on 2 other lives, and also speaking of a child, talking about a man or lady in previous lives, the same as you told me. Unsure what to make of this now.
Okay. What I would say to that is it was actually one reference to still game over 2 different things. And a lot of our lives are very, very common. So there are going to be bits of evidence that do cross over. I'm not quite sure how to take that, to be honest. But yeah, there's a lot of things in our lives that are very, very, very similar, each and every one of us. So there are going to be bits of evidence that do cross over. But the still game thing remains one of the most important pieces of evidence I've ever given somebody. And it was absolutely breathtaking.
That's for questions to think of.
And apparently we're reading a few more questions. I wasn't sure or not whether to run this again. I felt it dropped off a wee bit last week. I think maybe if we all shared it a wee bit, it would it maybe pick up momentum again the way it did in the first 2 sessions. We'll give it another run tonight, but if it's not going too well, there's no point in flogging a dead horse. So yeah, any more questions, just fire them over. Shona, I hope your back's better.
Why not ask people to bring forward the experiences that they never got across last week?
Yeah, as Steph's saying, last week's theme was experiences that you had had, and maybe we could try and help you explain them and work them out. So if there's anybody out there who's had an experience that they're not sure what it was, please feel free to pop them over, and we'll do what we can.
There's been 4 or 5 shares so far.
Okay.
I just shared it as well.
Okay. So if you, I don't know what it means, but I've been told to have this done.
Got a question
Uh-huh.
from Danielle Harkness. Gordon, I hear my name being called often, but it sounds like my own voice that's shouting.
Okay. It's very, very common for spirit to call out. Only last night, Polly came out the kitchen and said, "Who's shouting on me?" Well, George was sitting there, I was sitting in the other armchair, and it was neither of us. It's very, very common for spirit to try and connect with you in that way and let you know that they're in and round about. So just take comfort in it. I think you'll find this will happen, Danielle, when you actually need to know that spirit is in and round about, when you've maybe had a bad day, when you're maybe in a situation that is annoying you, and spirit will maybe just let you hear that to let you know they're in and round about. Paul, that's very good of you. I appreciate that, and I hope everything's going okay. My friend Paul is having a wee bit of work done, I think is the easiest way to put it. A wee bit of surgery, and I hope everything goes well.
Catherine Gray said that still game comment was the biggest amount of proof ever to come through from the higher side for me. Owen Allen says to tell you he got malkied by the dog on the nose, so there is his nose injury.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm glad to hear that the evidence was correct. And I hope you're doing okay as well, Catherine.
Elizabeth Collins has said, "Hi Gordon, my wee girl has never asked for her dad since he passed, but walked down the hall yesterday and said dad, plus I got her to bed. She was shouting on him. Do you think she has seen him?"
There's maybe been some sort of communication there, but as I say constantly, it's we decide who, we decide when, we decide how much. If it's something that's upsetting the kid, you have every right to ask spirit to stop. But as I've said in previous weeks on here, the children are the most susceptible to spirit. So yeah, just keep an eye on it. But if you think it's starting to upset the kid or distress the kid in some way, just tell them to stop and back off.
It's a question from Leslie Fairley. Say, could you tell me I had a miscarriage a very long time ago. Since my baby had a heartbeat, what would happen to that wee baby after I lost
Okay.
it?
What's this person's name?
It's Leslie Fairley.
Leslie?
Oh, is it Leslie? Right, okay, well, hi buddy. Leslie, it's quite straightforward. If you're brutally honest with yourself, something in the relationship at that time was not correct. Be it the relationship itself, be it finances, there just was something that was not right in the relationship. And quite simply, Spirit have seen that, and they come and they've taken the baby back, and the baby's been put back on the shelf. And they wait there to be delivered back at the right time. Now, your time for children might come and go, okay? But they appear again on the next generation as grandchildren and things like that. So if you are brutally honest, there's something that wasn't right there in the relationship, and the child, I feel, has already been sent back. There's our Tom. For everybody that's on tonight, they're doing a River City rewind tonight, and it's my pal Tom Urie, my birthday buddy. It's all about his exit from the show, and I remember sitting talking to him about this and how hard it was. And so look in BBC Scotland 115. I think it's 10 o'clock tonight.
Lorraine Graham asked, has there ever been a time where you have felt your gift as a medium has been a hindrance rather than a gift?
No, absolutely not. There's times where it's touched me to the core, bringing people's loved ones back, upsetting people in front of you. That bothers me. Excuse me, but no, I've never felt a hindrance with it. No, it's my job as a medium is to prove that you cannot die for the life of you, that your soul moves on to somewhere else. I remember watching a documentary once, and the documentary was called Kill Me to Cure Me. And what it was, this boy, 23 years of age, had a tumour in his brain. And while his heart was pumping, the tumour was the size of an orange. Okay, but if they could find some way to stop this boy's heart from pumping, it went down to the size of a pea. So the surgeon, what they did was they hooked him up in here, and they passed cold water, and essentially chilled the boy to death. The surgeon doing this said, I've got 8 minutes to do this. He said, but there's no way I'm taking 8 minutes. I'll be in and out in 4. So I went in, got the tumour, got it back out, and then simply reversed the process and passed warm water through the boy. Okay, and the boy was that young and healthy at 23. His heart actually started beating itself. Now the surgeon after that said, I killed that boy. Okay, that boy was dead on the table, and I was in his brain fixing something, and that boy came back to life. He knew who his mum was, he knew who his girlfriend was, he knew who his dad was, he knew his name. But the machine was dead. So where did the soul go during that period when the machine was dead? And that's a very, very clever man, a consultant surgeon, asking, where did the soul go? Where did that boy go while I was doing this? So that's what it feels to be a spiritualist. It's been able to try and explain or touch where the soul goes. No, it's never been a hindrance in any way in my life. It's a complete passion, absolute passion.
Paul Gawkin said, you always said that a message could be one word, and I hope it's okay to say wee ball of gas.
My wee ball of gas is sitting right next to me, aren't you, kid?
Please explain that.
Okay. We should really explain that, yes. Yes. For Georgia's reputation. Georgia was in primary school, and they were learning about stars and how a star is a wee ball of gas. And Georgia and I have agreed that if I go to the higher side and she gets a message, the message only needs to be 3 words. Wee ball, or 4 words, wee ball of gas. And she'll know that's her dad. Hi, Maureen. Like mum and dad, as we discussed a couple of weeks ago, had their code word, and that code word was quite simply Zippy, one of their black Labradors, and they would know that they were communicating with each other.
Catherine Gray said, Alan is asking, can spirit make you see them in other people? He's been seeing my wee mum everywhere, but it's not her, clearly. As in someone that
somebody reminds them of her. Well, I wouldn't see any reason why not, but I would think that's maybe just your mind looking at and recognising qualities in people. I put a load of pictures up of Sunday. We had a fabulous day on Sunday down in Millport, but there's one of me sitting having a pint, And I went, shit, that's my dad. And it was just the features of my dad I recognised, and then I realised it was myself. So it's maybe just people's characteristics you see in other people more than anything else.
I don't understand.
Who apart from, there's a good question there, Lorraine Graham, who apart from your mum was your inspiration? Well, I actually grew up in a house where all these fabulous mediums used to come through the house. There was a lady, a big West Coast of Scotland woman, and that was my Auntie Christine. I'm your Auntie Christine, just come and see your Auntie Christine, you know, one of those women that come to your house which automatically becomes your auntie. And she was a powerhouse of a medium, and I used to sit and listen to her and my mum talk and things like that, you know. Colin Fry has been through my mum and dad's house when I was there. The late great Colin Fry, Gordon Smith. You know, there's a lot of people out there who I adore to watch them work, because at certain points you can almost see them just, it's hard to vocalise, but they just become spirit themselves, and they're working, they're so accurate, they're so good. Ella McCann's a very good medium, who I love standing next to on a platform. Gordon Smith, Ella McCann, my mum obviously. But as you read back through the histories of spiritualism, there's a lot there you could talk about.
Angela Earth asked, have your girls got your gift as well?
Well, they've certainly not got my good looks. But yes, both have been tested, both have been out working with me, and both have given off very, very capable messages to people. One in particular that sticks with me, Georgia was out this particular night, and I would sit and as I do in all my private sittings, and I would take a wee break, and I would turn around, as you do with any fledgling you're working with. What have you got for me? Have you got anything you can work on? And Georgia said to this gentleman, she said, this is daft, I just keep seeing a beagle. And the guy went, that's incredible. His grandfather had been a prisoner of war in Germany and could only smoke German cigarettes, which were called Beagle cigarettes. And when he came back to Britain, everybody else who smokes, you'll know you get your own brand and you stick with it because you like it. But this chap, when he came back from Germany through the war, had the troops that were still stationed out there sending him back Beagle cigarettes, you know. So yeah, they're both very capable mediums, and I wish they would take it up a wee bit more. Lorraine, yes.
Paul Gawkin asked, I had a step-gran who the family never seen eye to eye with. She's buried in the same graveyard as my mum, my dad and granddad. When I drive by, I always blow a kiss to each of them, but I feel like a hypocrite doing so for her. Am I right to feel like that?
Absolutely not, Paul. But you and I are similar ages. I think I'm a few years older than you. But you'll realise yourself, and everybody listening out there will realise this themselves. You're not the same person you were when you were 18 or 19. You're a totally different person. So why should your values be the same now at this age than what they were when you were younger? I'd like to think, like myself, your values have totally changed, and you become a much better person. So no, you're not hypocritical. Everything about spiritualism is being spiritual, if that makes sense. So no, don't feel hypocritical. If you want to celebrate that person, if you want to acknowledge that person, then you blow them a kiss, put flowers in their grave, but you know better than them to just send them a wee thought.
Lorraine Graham's asked a couple of questions I think you could probably answer at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
The first one was, who apart from your mum was your inspiration?
I've answered that.
Oh, sorry. And did your mum mentor Gordon Smith?
And yes.
Catherine Gray asked, have you ever had to call someone out for being a fake?
Thanks, Catherine. No. I have worked with people who I will not work with again, because no matter what your thoughts are on Gordon Armour. He's a big idiot, or he's this, he's that. The one thing that is very, very special to me is spiritualism. And I work to a level that a level I was trained to. And if I don't feel somebody is on that level or somebody should not be on platform, I will not work with them again. But I would never turn around and go, you're this, you're that, because the secret to being a good spiritualist is remaining humble. Aye, you're laughing now.
Paul said, very true. Gordon never looked at it that way.
Leslie Fairley asked, do you think, as I do, some mediums try to give too much information and spoil the message?
Yeah, absolutely. Your job is to give proof of life after death. Although, as you know, I keep saying you can't die for the life of you. Your job is to prove that you've moved on. I see mediums up there on platform going, I've got a name, start with a G that links to the March month, and there's a water skiing here, and there's a clock broke at 7:10. What? A, how is the sitter meant to accept all that? Because it's like somebody going, tell me a funny joke, and you go, ah. It just has to be concise, constructed, and put across properly. So yeah, there's people out there trying to put far too much into their mediumship, and even 20, 25 years on from when I originally went out, I still stick to the rules, keep it simple.
Who are you? Why did you come through?
Sorry?
Asking questions such as who are you? Why did you come through?
Yeah,
Tell me something back.
yeah. There's a checklist that I go through. Is it a man or a woman? I'm very fortunate now I can get descriptions of height and how they pass standing next to me, but them affecting my body. So yeah, I just keep it as simple and straightforward as I possibly can.
Ellen Logan asked the last time I saw your mum on platform was with Gordon Smith at GAS. They turned into the same person and gave a message. It was amazing.
No, they didn't turn into the same person. What they did was called a double link, and I used to do this with my mum as well. So it's really the amazing part is not here on the material plane. The amazing part is on the higher side, where the medium starts, the spirit starts to work both mediums, feeding each medium a piece of information like that. And it's called a double link. And I used to do it with my mum regular, and Stuart Esler could do it with my mum as well. But it's not the mediums that are doing anything special. They're just both picking up the same person who's working them, if you know what I mean.
Catherine Gray asked, have you ever tried transfiguration? Saw this with Ellen McCann and it was mind-blowing.
Yeah, she can do it. I can't do any sort of physical mediumship at all. I'm rubbish at it. So I just try to be the best mental medium I possibly can. But my sister's a very good physical medium. There's a chap who comes on here called Eddie Nichol. He's a very good physical medium as well. So there are people out there with the ability, but no, I'm not even terrible at it. I just can't do it.
Okay, there's a question from Lorraine Graham.
Uh-huh.
If someone is spiritual and therefore doesn't have readings because they get everything they need in their own way, do you accept that, or would you try to read them to prove a point?
I don't understand that.
I think she thinks that spiritualism's
No, I think
get all the information
is
they need.
all, maybe not her personally, but if someone is spiritual in their own way and has their own beliefs and sees things in their own way throughout their daily life, and then you said they have
No,
to give
Lorraine,
you
you're going to have to reword that bit. We've got 3 different versions of it here, and none of us can work it out.
Michael Martin asked, Gordy, do you always have to change the message to suit how spirit want to tell us it, or is the message clear from spirit to tell us?
A lot of the time, Michael, and we'll you and I will get into this further at some point. A lot of the time, I'm interpretation. A lot of times I get things exact, but a lot of the time I have to work things out. So if, for example, they showed me a picture of my mum in my head, the first thing I would say to the person is, who's Mary? Well, they might not know a Mary. So I have to work out why Spirit are showing me Mary. Well, what a lot of people don't know is my mother wanted to be a doctor, but my grandfather died very young, and my mum had to get out of school at the earliest time to get a job. So my mum never became a doctor, but she became the most highly decorated nurse. So if I show somebody a picture, if somebody shows me a picture of my mum in my head, and somebody doesn't understand it, I'll then go on to the highly qualified nurse. And if they don't understand that, well, as everybody knows, my mum really, really grieved very hard for 3 years for my dad. I would then go on to talk about somebody who grieved very hard. It's just a case of me working things out. For example, Tom Urie's on here. If somebody says to me the March month, and they don't understand it, I'll say, okay, my birthday's the 1st of March, which is St David's Day. So who's David? And they don't understand David. I'll then go, right, okay, so if you don't understand March, you don't understand David, who's Tom? Because I relate March to myself and Tom. Okay, so hi Eddie. So it's just interpretational. Some things come through are absolutely accurate, spot on, names, addresses, etc. Some things I just have to spend a wee bit more time on. But it's easier for Spirit just to show me a picture and let me work it out.
Keep questions coming through.
So let's see who's on I've not said hello to. Stevie Gordon, hi pal, not seen you in ages. Yes, double link Ellen, that was it, yeah. Leslie Fairley, I'm thinking of you and the boat that turned into Titanic. Don't just stay away from me in boats thinking, that's a bad thing.
Would you like to read Lorraine's question?
No, I haven't, no.
Oh, she's... Lorraine Graham just said, if someone is in your presence, in your spiritual work, but isn't looking for a reading of any sorts, would you be in the mindset of it, bet I could read you? Of, I bet I could read you?
Right, read it again slowly.
If someone is in your presence, in your spiritual work, but isn't looking for a reading of any sorts...
No, they will not interrupt because I'll be working with somebody else at that point.
Would you be in a mindset of, I bet I could read you? So basically someone that doesn't believe in it, and as far as I'm interpreting it, and wouldn't want
If we're talking about the sceptics, I've always said to the sceptics, we're here when you need us, you know. Every religion in the world has their own book of teachings, their own, and spiritualism, by the way, is a recognised religion. Every religion in the world asks you to have blind faith in what they're teaching you is correct. And we're the ones who actually come back and prove to people that what we can do is communication. Whether they want to believe it or not, that's entirely up to them. Whether they think we're cheating or not, which we're not. So yeah, spiritualism, high on it, proves what it says it does on the tin, and that's why it's the one for me.
Marina Dobbin asked, if you have an illness before you die, then when they pass, are they still in pain in the spirit world, or is their pain taken away from them?
Absolutely not. The passing to the higher side is the failure of the body, and the mind and soul carries on. So you actually come away from this old broken thing and you move on to the next world. So no, don't worry. And it was good to see you yesterday. You're such good fun.
Eddie Dorian asked, can you explain why my mum's house for the past few days has been smelling of cigarette smoke? She quit almost a year ago.
That's her trying to let you know she's in and round about, mate. Simple as that. No, wait a minute.
His mum's house. The smell of cigarette smoke for the last few days.
PM me, Eddie, when I'm off this.
Frank saying hello.
Catherine Gray said, I was in that mindset when I first met Gordon. I thought it was all rubbish. The poor dude almost choked as my sister and her kids came through who died in a fire. He couldn't stop coughing and coming out with so many bits of proof until I couldn't deny it any longer.
Yeah, that's why you and I are a good fit as sitter and medium, kid. We really are.
Eddie said, well done, mate.
Yeah, PM, because I don't want to get into too much on here, Eddie.
Dawn asked, is there such a thing as age in the spirit world?
I don't know, I've never been, but what I would say, and again I mentioned it earlier on, my dad, I can only speak from experience here. My dad came through and said he was at his own funeral. He felt he was in his 30s. but I think that's just a vehicle to allow us to recognise them. I think the transgression onto the higher side is completely different. We do different things, etc. But that's just my own thoughts. That's just my own opinions. So I would like to think so, but certainly no ailments is one of the questions asked.
Lorna Stewart asked if you're doing private readings at home yet, as her and her mum could do with a message.
I'll do anything for you guys. You know that. I was actually talking about you today, and I'll tell you about it when I see you. But yeah, if you guys want me to come out, I'll come and see you. Anything for you guys, not a problem.
Robert Bell said, we had a chat last week. As you knew, I was 50-50, now quite a believer. Thank you, by the way. Got rid of the ring. Was worthless. Now at bottom of the Clyde. Hope that was okay.
Well, it's not what I instructed you to do with it, but I feel it was holding you back, and that's great. We've made you a wee bit more of a believer. Again, you're one of my dearest pals, so don't be stuck. If you need me, ring me, and I'll be here for you as best I can.
Angela Earth said, went for a reading and was told loads of spirit were with me and to shut the door to stop them coming with me. Could I get a reading? Was a bit confused.
Utter. Nearly swore there. Gobbledygook. Bunkum. Rubbish. Angela, yeah. Send me a message after this. We'll do a reading. It's not a problem. Too much spirit. Shut the door. Stop looking through. This is the stuff that gets me back out on platform when I see things like that. People should know. I mean, it's just rubbish.
I would advise for those that are not entirely comfortable, people come into their house yet, you can do the sittings online as well. It doesn't have to be on the home.
As Steph just said, if you're not entirely comfortable for us to come out to the house yet, that's fine, that's no problem. The readings are working really well over this. And the travelling is virtually nothing from armchair to here, to the fridge for beer. So, yeah, if you're not comfortable with me coming out, book me on here. I do sittings most nights a week, except for a Saturday night, which is my night. But yeah, we'll try and get you fitted in.
Leslie Fairley
I
said,
can see it. It's only, sorry Peter, I didn't mean to be rude. It'll be back by tomorrow afternoon. Okay, tell her to calm down.
Kat Dallas asked, do babies stay babies when they pass over?
There is findings, teachings of children progressing on the higher side and in fact growing on the higher side, not in the conventional way that we know it here, but yes, there have been teachings and things about kids who have moved over and progressed. Again, it's one of those, okay Scott, that's absolutely fine. I'll answer your PM in a minute. Shona, about half an hour.
Lindsay McCann asked, how many spirits can come through in a reading? Can there be a group of people at the same time?
Yeah. I mean, you get 4, 5, 6 coming through, but it just dilutes the time that you have, because you've only got a certain amount of time in reading to get people across. And so yeah, I've had up to 6 come through. I'm more comfortable with 1, 2, maybe 3, but up to 6. But as I say, it just dilutes the time, the evidence, and it takes a lot of the medium as well, to be honest.
Catherine Gray asked, would Georgia be comfortable coming with you for our next readings? Sure.
Listen, there's Dougs and Waynes everywhere. She's always got cakes and it's brilliant. You always have a laugh.
Right.
So yeah, we're in.
It's a deal.
Ellen, up to about 5. I'm more comfortable with 4. I used to do 6, 7. I did 8 one night, but the level we're working at now, it's 4s, but I'm comfortable with. But I will do 5.
Catherine Gray said it would be amazing to see how the next generation works slowly.
It'd be amazing to see her tidy. It would be amazing to see her tidy her room. That's what would be amazing.
Your message from Scott was about a reading, so it's nothing you can answer in this.
Okay. Just answering back. Do you know, I'm actually enjoying this. And once again, somebody said to me, if Paul Kagan, the first cakes, I'm coming, she would love you. I'm telling you, she would love you. Once again, guys, if you can, please share this, because we're trying to keep it going. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but a big sensitive soul. I felt last week we dipped a wee bit, and I was a wee bit apprehensive about coming back on tonight. So if you try sharing it out there, we'll maybe get a few more folk on.
Lindsay McCann asked, do you have to be related for someone for them to come through?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No way. Your pals, your neighbours, people you worked with. Oh no, absolutely not.
Paul's invited.
Yeah, Paul, right, okay. It's a party at Gray's house.
Leslie said all 3 of your girls can come here, but I'm hiding kids and puppy and I'll make my scones, etc.
Gluten free.
Gluten free. Hi Sam, how are you?
Tracy Jenkins said, they say that when you go through hard times, then there is always someone in spirit there guiding you, but sometimes doesn't feel like it. Are they there?
Oh, they're there. Anybody who knows me knows that I do not like poetry. I love to read, but I do not like poetry or anything like that. The one piece of poetry I do like is Footprints, and that just answers that. That just answers that directly. There's always somebody there when you're going through hard times. There's always somebody there when you're going through good times. But sometimes they might just be carrying you through.
Everyone's just saying how much they've been enjoying it and how much they enjoyed last week.
Well, I'm really pleased to hear that. Steph had a look, and I couldn't believe this, but this is now the 5th, and I think we've over 4,000 views, and I just can't believe that. Me sitting here in my dining room, talking about my experiences, your experiences, trying to answer your questions as best I can. I absolutely adore doing it, but I just thought it was maybe we're getting a wee bit bored looking at my ugly face, listening to my dribble.
Michael Martin asked, Gordy, a spirit has followed me for years, a young man who took his own life. Not heard from him the last few times. I've had a reading. Would you be able to contact him?
Well, we can give it a go, pal. Yeah, we can give it a go. We'll set something up, PM me when you're off or when you're running early or something, we'll just do it. Okay. We have, again, this is something I've been working on for a few years, but it's really, since my mum passed over, with everything, the level of everything moving up has become a lot more easy. So, sorry, there's a rabid shih tzu in the room. If we can't find them, we can do a thing now called reversing the flow, and go looking for them, send my guide off to look for them, which is really cool.
Joyce Montgomery asked, do all spiritualist churches donate funds to charity or just yours?
A lot of them use the funds to keep the church going. The permanent ones, if you like, the ones who own the building, the ones who they'll actually keep as a non-profit organisation and use it to keep the church going. The church I was talking about, like my mum's church, the White Rose, like the Shakespeare Street Spiritualist Church, they rent their church. They rent the hall for an evening, and it costs them so much from the council. The medium comes along, so they cover the medium's expenses. And then they're left with a pot of money, and we do specials, we do fundraisers, and we raise money from them, and it goes into a pot, and then it all gets dished out to various different charities at the end of the year. And that's what I really love about spiritualism. And there's a girl on here who just asked me to do something for her mum and her. I was talking about it today. I love raising money for charity. If you've got a charity, you need me to come out, do a night for you. I mean, I've raised hundreds of thousands of pounds over the years, and it's just something I enjoy. So if you need me to do it, ask me and I'll come out. It's absolutely no problem.
Catherine Gray asked, can you specifically ask a certain spirit to come through, say a specific relation, for example?
Yeah, we can. But that's no guarantee we're going to get them. You've heard me before, some mediums suit some spirits better. Your mum and I work particularly well. Your sister and I work okay, but not as well as your mum and I. So, yeah, we can go looking for folk, but there's no guarantees I can get them. But if I bring one of the girls with me, they might be more comfortable with one of the girls, so they might work better with her. So, yeah, again, something we can try.
Leslie Fairley asked, Carrie was feeling down about her brother for a few days, then out of the blue her brother's son found Carrie, and they are getting on brilliant. Do you think her brother sent his son to comfort her?
I do need to answer that. They appear to be a bit closer than they actually thought. Certainly now he's on the higher side. People keep commenting to me how much I'm like my dad, which is a fantastic compliment. I can't think of a better compliment. So my dad's not here anymore, so maybe I'm just a wee bit my dad for people around about here. So maybe your son sending your grandson, because he's not here anymore, it's just a wee bit of him to go to her. So yeah, that's a dynamite thing.
Robert Bell asked, you mentioned lots of spirits coming through on readings. How do you decide who to talk to, or are some just louder than others?
No, absolutely not. It's not like that. There's generally only ever one person talking to me at any one time. But you will feel the energy change, the vibration change, in the same way you hear me speaking at the moment, but if I stop and Georgia starts speaking, you know it's Georgia because the voice vibration is different, okay? So I could be talking to a lady who'll come in on my left-hand shoulder, and she'll be talking away, there'll be a certain feel about this lady, and then all of a sudden it'll change. So it'll go from 5'3" to 5'6". The vibration is different, and I know I'm talking to a different person, but they don't all pile on at once, and it's not the biggest guy with the loudest voice that gets through. I wouldn't allow that.
Sam Shepherd asked, did my mum come to tell you anything? Oh no, sorry, it's a bit more of a personal one.
Okay. Personal ones we'll keep to the side, guys, and you can PM me and we'll talk about those later. That's fascinating. Well, you know, Leslie Phillips just put on there the fact that the grandson is the living image of her Billy. You know how much people say I look like my dad, you know, so that's fantastic to hear that. That's great, and it's just a wee earthly thing that Carrie can jump in the car and actually go and physically touch if she wants, you know. That a bit of her brother's still here.
Lorna Stewart asked, can you hear spirits now, Gordon?
At the moment, no, because I'm not in working mode. Any medium worth their salt will tell you it's about control, and I've said this a dozen times. When I go out through the day, I'm Gordy working through the day. When I come in here at night to do readings, then flick that switch goes on. I'm Gordy in medium mode. Tonight I'm Gordy in spiritualist mode, so I'm here working, talking about spirit. If I feel an uncontrollable urge to talk about somebody, which doesn't happen very often, then we will do that. But no, I have control.
Leslie Fairley asked, how often can you get sittings?
People ask me this all the time. You can construct your life where you can go to a different spiritualist church every night of the week, and if there's a message there for you, you'll get it. You know, so I wouldn't recommend having a sitting every night of the week because it would become, certainly by the same medium, it would become very boring. But no, you can, if you want, go to a different spiritualist church every night of the week, and if you're due a message, you'll get one.
Keep the questions coming.
Okay, so keep the questions coming. I'm enjoying this tonight. We're getting into it a wee bit, into the bones of it a wee bit.
15 minutes left.
That's fine. So once again, if you need me for a charity night, give me a shout. Okay. Once COVID dies down, we as a community are really going to have to pull together. There's going to be so many people out of job. There's going to be so many kids going without decent clothes, things like that, because people aren't working, their dads can't go out and work anymore. My own Georgia was horrifically laid off by M&Co through, she was due to work on the Wednesday morning and was phoned on the Tuesday night and told the shop was shut, don't come back. So there's going to be people like that without any money. There's going to be people like that out there who we need to pull together as a community and raise some money for. So if you need me, phone me. I'll come out and I'll do it. A lot of people out here, yeah, I'm still doing sit-ins. So if you want a sit-in, give me a bell, I'll do it for you. I don't mind, it's not a problem.
Paul Gauchin asks, when you get a reading, Gordy, as a medium, do you still get that oof factor from it?
Even more so, Paul. Even more so. Because it's known as the curse of the medium. I can bring everybody's loved ones back by mine. So it's just that wee bit more special when my mum or my dad or my gran or my Uncle John comes back, or my cousin Gillian, who would have been 52 today, but we lost her in September there. So a wee nod to Gillian today. It would have been her 52nd birthday. Smashing person, like a sister to me, and she's very, very, very missed.
It's a good question from Charlotte Taylor. Have you ever walked into a building and thought that you had to leave due to a bad feeling?
That's a brilliant question. I always trust in the spirit. 100%. Yes, I have had that feeling. And yes, I have acted on it a couple of times. I don't know if anything ever came from it, or I was purely meant to avoid meeting somebody who would have been detrimental to my journey. So yes, I have walked in places and I have walked out. I have walked into houses at night to do sittings, and I've turned around and I've walked right back out. If I don't, if I feel it's not right, then no, I won't stay. I've done that a couple of times. Actually, walked out to do sittings and walked out.
Leslie Fairley asked, if a family member was a horrid person on earth when they pass, can the other members of the family in spirit avoid them, or must they make amends?
Okay, again, I can only answer this with experience through readings. I don't know how the people on the higher side deal with them, but I did a reading the other night for a lovely lady, and her father came through, and her father was a bit self-absorbed when he was here in the material plane. He did what he had to because he had to do it, and with no bells and whistles. It was just the least he could do, and that was it. And he went to the higher side, and he actually hadn't changed, but he was doing things to help from the higher side, but again, only because he had to. So I don't know how to deal with them on the higher side, but it doesn't mean when they go to the higher side they automatically become bewinged beings with harps and halos and everything's forgiven. No, they have to work at it. And 9 times out of 10, what I will say, when I bring somebody back who maybe hasn't led the best of lives here in the material plane, hasn't looked after their responsibilities the way they should have, is they realise their mistakes and they go double time on the higher side. And some of you who have maybe had bad relationships with people who are now passed over might now actually looking back realise that after they passed, things for yourself started to get a wee bit better because this person is on the higher side now trying to make up for things. So, no thank you. So that would be my answer to that, Leslie. I've only very rarely had a few who haven't changed and just do it because they've got to, but 9 times out of 10 when they move over and they have had a bad life, they kick the total opposite way and push to make things better.
Lindsay McCann asked, do people ever have to stop a reading simply because they become too emotional, or they just don't want to hear the message that's coming through?
Read that again, please.
Lindsay McCann asked, do people ever have to stop a reading because they either become too emotional
or
don't want to hear the message
okay.
that's coming through?
Right, okay, so there's 2 questions in there. People do get emotional. Yeah, that's just a matter of fact. They've maybe been desperate to hear from somebody, and then bang, they're there and they can communicate again. The other part of the question was people come through that people don't want to hear from, is that correct?
Uh-huh.
Okay, yeah, that happens as well. It's a wee bit into the question I just answered there before. They've maybe not led the best of lives when they're here, but if they don't want to hear from them, then we quite simply send them back. It's as simple as that.
Catherine Gray said, without your readings on the day of my mum's funeral, I can honestly say I would not have been able to scrape myself together for the family. I thank you every time I see or speak to you, but I want people to see the genuine gratitude that I have for you. The support and guidance you have shown myself and the family has been astounding.
Thanks a lot, and the check's in the post. Means a lot, kid, thanks.
Michael Martin asked, when spirit come through, do you see them or just hear their voice?
Sometimes you don't even get that. Sometimes it's just thoughts going through your head that you have to trust on is spirit. So sometimes you don't hear anything. I've never personally seen anything except for in my mind's eye. But sometimes it's just memories that come through, scents that come through, pains in your body, all of these things. But sometimes they don't speak to you or.
Dawn said, in relation to one of the questions about leaving because of a bad feeling, you told me once about leaving a house once because you had a bad feeling. 3 mothers had lost 3 sons.
Oh, that was a horrible place to be. Yeah, I'd really rather not go into that. I helped the ladies I could, but it was just, it was a horrible place to be. So I'd really rather not go into that. That's something in my life I'm trying to forget about.
Kat Dallas asked, do you ever get anyone come through who is still confused / upset and don't realise that they have actually moved on to the higher side?
No, absolutely not. Pretty much my understanding of it. And anyone on here who's ever watched anybody die, I've sadly watched 3 people die now. There's always some sort of hand gesture, waving, acknowledgement of people waiting there for them to take them over. So no, the transition, they know what's happening. And as you know, I've had them back whilst they're lying in the morgue. I've had them back where they're lying in state in the church waiting to go in. I've had them come back. Fascinating story. I did a sitting for a girl who really, really needed it. Okay. And this girl, something had happened in her past, and she needed a certain piece of evidence to make everybody believe her. And Spirit directed me in her house, not physically. I verbally gave her directions in her own home, where to go, where to look, and what to look for, and she found it. So yeah, it's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
Don Lester asked, is it true that they say your date of death and the way you've died is marked out ahead of your death?
I wouldn't know. Get a glass. No, absolutely not, because I could choose to be the healthiest man in the world, not drink, not smoke, and live longer. Or I could choose to be the man I am, who enjoys life when he's here, enjoys a cigarette, not really enjoys a cigarette anymore, wanting rid of them again. Certainly enjoy a beer and things like that, which is ultimately going, and I'm just about to buy a motorbike, so these things can ultimately shorten your life. So no, I believe the way you lead your life would determine the date and time of your death.
Leslie Fairley and Paul Gawkin are just agreeing with Catherine Gray on how much support you gave them and how much help you've given them.
That's my job, guys, as a medium. Simple as that. That's my job. Comfort and support.
Nothing else just now, but we've got 7 minutes left.
7 minutes left. Well, the most patient woman in the world is now online, Sarah McGilvery-Tosh. It's my best pal's wife. Woman deserves a medal. That's really, and that's why I come on here, Leslie. That's absolutely fantastic. At least they didn't have to apply for a new one. Okay. Egypt.
Michael Martin said,
We've been over this. It was years before I knew I had a guide, but it was years before I worked out who it was. I can't even remember the process now of how I done it. But yes, you have a guide. We'll go through all that in your learning. But I mean, my mother pointed out somebody who she thought was my guide, and it turned out to be somebody from a different country or a different race and a different time period who turned out to be my guide. So it's one of the hardest things to work out. But once we get moving and we get working and you're more comfortable, and these things will adapt and they'll pan out. You'll learn over time.
I don't know, sure.
Okay. Well, I hope everybody shared it tonight.
Ask about the popularity for next week then.
And Steph's saying I have to ask about the popularity for next week. Not blowing smoke up anybody's bum. Do you guys want to do this again?
If so, what would you like to discuss? Themes and things like
And Steph's quite right. If so, give me ideas of themes, things you would like to know about. We could try and bring on a guest medium, something like that. Maybe Eddie or Paul, you might not be up to it, or any number of things we could do. Right, okay, the fireworks are going off in
Paul
the corner.
asked if you're doing any more Zoom churches as well.
I'll do them if I'm asked. If anybody wants me to take their church, yeah, I'll do it if I'm asked, if I can fit it in my work, etc. Because I'm absolutely mobbed at work. Oh, look at that, that's brilliant, guys, thanks. It means a lot. I feel as if I sit here for an hour and just waffle. But if you're enjoying it and you get something out of it, that's great.
dual medium, someone's asked.
What's that?
Michael Martin said yes, dual medium. 2 mediums.
Dual mediums. I'll see what I can line up. I'll ask Stuart, or I'll ask Eddie, Nicole, or I'll look at that. Christ, the fireworks everywhere. Oh, they're absolutely brilliant.
Somebody would like, Lindsay McCann would like to hear more about your guide next time.
Our Robert. He's there and he dunks me in the back of the head and tells me what to do and how to pick things up. So our Robert's always there. So yeah, I'll try and sit and work things out about him if you want, yeah.
Leslie Fairley said you're great at waffles.
Sam Shepherd is joining from Turkey next week.
Oh, wow. That's really kind of you guys. Thanks very much. Right, so, once again, charity nights. People are going to need us as spiritualists, as mediums, when all this COVID is done and we can all meet again and raise money. Marina will be doing one in Millport. So let's look at where we can get venues. Let's have me out every night of the week raising money for charities for people who really need it. Okay, the community is going to need our help. If you want to even phone me, it's no problem. I'll do it. Okay, or text me on here. I'm charging a very small amount, and a lot of it's going to charity. Okay. A couple of people have been on asking me to do house walkthroughs. Lindores Manor in Greenock is one I've to look at. A girl today contacted me and asked me to walk through her work because the girls were all frightened in her work of somebody that was there. Yeah, we could look at that. That was more my mum's speciality, but yeah, we'll look at it. And so, just let me know. Charity nights, because the community is going to need us. Readings, if you need them, no problem. Walkthroughs, we'll look at it. Not a problem, guys. And please, if you've enjoyed this tonight, tell all your pals and let's see if we get the message out there. Because do you know what? I am going to keep this going because we do need to start building momentum now to get out there and work afterwards and just give everything to charity. So, yeah, let's keep this going. Angela, my asthma's fine. I just smoke too much.
Someone's interested in developing their gift. I've just asked them to message you after.
Yeah, fine. Cracking. Yeah. We're still looking for one. Maybe two.
Sure, over time.
Okay. Guys, I'm actually overtime tonight, but I've really, really, really enjoyed tonight, and I hope you guys have too. But there's a real problem that I need to deal with, and the beer in the fridge is going out of date. So, I love you all, and I'll see you next week.